Well, welcome back, my friends, to another rousing rendition. Oh, you know you're roused. Of Choir Boys Outdoors. This is the Reiff, R-E-I-F-F, F6. I believe it is the Leuku. Now, if I mispronounced the name, I am sorry, but it is R-E-I-F-F. It's a company I'm not really familiar with. I want to get more familiar with them. I've seen a couple of reviews from John over at Heavyset Tactical. This sample was sent to me by JR. If you've been with the channel any length of time, you've heard that name. JR sent me probably one of the best boxes of knives he ever sent. And I'm going to be honest with you. At first, I thought, man, I'm going to have a hard time picking a favorite. But this one has rapidly shot to the top. And for me, it might be the perfect knife. We're going to talk all about that. Before we do, guys, there was a time in this country where 22 vets a day took their own lives. Now, stats are everywhere. We talk about that a lot. And what that means is this. There's so many different articles on the subject, but what holds true in them is the actual number is anywhere from 15 to 29 a day. That's why here on this channel, we focus on the number 0. Anything over 0 is simply unacceptable. And all it really means, man, is vets, we love you. You have a place here. You have a spot here. Personally, I back the blue, okay? It is a personal choice that I made, even though there's been many times I wound up on the wrong side of the law. I'm not going to argue with you. It's one of my causes. You don't have to go with it. I respect that. The thing is this, guys, it's a choice that I made, and I don't force anything on anyone. Finally, if you are an addict, never quit quitting. That's very, very important to me. Now, let's just jump right into the knife. The F6 Leuku survival knife. I'm going to read to you what JR sent. JR always sends paperwork. So let me run down some stats, and then I'm going to read how Reiff describes their own knife. First of all, we have an overall length of 11 inches and 1/4. We have a blade length of 6 inches with a cutting edge of 5.75 inches. The blade thickness is 0.187 or 5 millimeters. Pretty thick there. The blade steel is 3V. It is a drop point. The edge style is convex. The blade finish is acid wash, and we have G10 handle material. Now, the handle thickness is 1.16 inches or 29 millimeters. The weight is 12.9 ounces. The country of origin is USA. And guys, it comes with a gorgeous leather sheath, double stitched. It has a dangler if you want that, or you can take that off. I found that with this particular variation, it fit me very well, and you can see it throughout the video. Now, as I'm talking, just watch the knife work, because this is one sharp sumbitch. I'm just going to tell you, that is steel belted sandblast hose. If you're new to the channel, we don't do reviews. We just don't. Typically, I get knives. JR is just amazing always to send me a batch of knives that I would never be able to get my hands on. So I'm very thankful to him. So what we do is we take them out of the box and we see how they could work, how they work in my hands. I do not claim to be an expert, far from it. But my goal with these videos is to show you the knife, the sharpness, how easy it is to use, how well it functions. I don't practice with them typically. Sometimes I'll use one for a little bit, but typically these are just straight out of the box type deals. Depending on the knife, that does vary. Now, what Reiff says about their own knife is the F6 Leuku survival knife is our modern take on the classic Scandinavian Leuku knife. If I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. Leuku knife design. The 6-inch blade is 3/16 inches thick and made from CPM 3V steel, making it exceptionally durable for hard use applications around camp. This blade has excellent weight, Tucker's agreeing, and balance, making it ideal for tasks ranging from light chopping to field dressing dinner. At 5 1/4 inches long, the handle provides the user with many comfortable grip options. I can absolutely attest to that, specific to the task at hand. If you're heading out into the wilderness and only bringing one knife, this is a great option. Now, let me say this. Let me stop right there. That's a damn fact. And that was my thought process. The F6 is a jack of all trades and a master of many. We recommend pairing the F6 with the F4 bushcraft survival knife to cover all your bases in the field. Let me say this, guys. What I do, I don't know much about Reiff. I really don't. Okay? And if you're new, if you just want to watch the knife work, turn the narration down. I just give you some thoughts on the knife and ramble, pretty much. Put you on some music, get a glass of tea, beer, wine, whatever, and enjoy the show. The reason I don't do a lot of research on the company before I ever do the review is I don't want anything put into my head. I've done that before, and it just doesn't wind up being very genuine. And what I'm saying here is this. I did all the testing before I read any of that. Now, did it match up to my expectations? Yes. I look at this as a camp knife, but I also look at this as a hunting knife, fishing knife. You can use it for self-defense. Certainly, that's what everybody asks, although you don't hear a lot about knife fighting anymore. But if you need it to, yes. The thing that I love about this knife, and we talked about it, I believe we said it was a 5 1/4 inch handle. The most important measure to me on a knife is that inner grip. The inner grip here is right at 4 5/8. That is going to fit 99% of the hands in the world. It just is. No matter if you got little fat paws, skinny paws, big paws, it fits. And that makes this knife, I think that's what really makes the knife. I love CPM 3V. I always have, right? But if you can't hold the son of a bitch, it's no good. This knife you can hold in all kind of positions. And pay attention too, because I've got busted up hands. If you watch the video and you really watch the knife work, you won't see me readjusting my hand a whole lot. Typically, I have to regardless of the knife. Here's some 2-inch ratchet strap. Basically, the ratchet strap is kind of simulate skinning or seat belts or whatever. I like doing this particular drag test just to check the tip. Is the tip as strong and sharp as the rest of the knife? Overall, my thoughts on the knife are all positive. I'm sitting here looking at it now. It's gorgeous aesthetically. It's well built. I didn't get any rolling. I didn't get any chips. And really, the edge held up incredibly well. Now, what I wanted to show throughout this video is basically a little woodworking. And we'll do that later. And what I mean by that is just, some quick tent stake type stuff. Do a little batoning, some very light chopping, wood processing. And what I ask everybody is this. I know that I use more industrial strength type mediums to cut. I do that because that's what I have available. So if you take those things and instead of going, well, I don't do that, translate them over to what you do. This knife, I think, to me, it's blade perfection. There's been very, very few knives that I like as much as this one. And I'm talking about from a use standpoint. This is a knife that I can use all day long. And I spent a ton of time. Basically Friday afternoon, when I got in from work, I spent probably 3 or 4 hours with this knife to get this much footage. And I'll be honest with you, my hand never got tired. I didn't find any hot spots. And guys, basically what I do when I narrate this, I do my narration as far as editing goes. I clip the ends of the segment. I put them in. Now, it takes me a minute to figure out what I want in, what I don't want in, that type of thing. I try to keep most segments as close to one another as I can. Why? So if you want to do a comparison, this knife versus that knife, you can. I don't do a lot of comparisons on the channel. I just don't. You're not ever going to get a knife that performs exactly the same as the other. So what I like to do is keep the same demonstration, same test, whatever you want to call them, and just let you make the determination. I think this knife handled everything well. I love a sharp knife. If you've watched the channel, you know that. Absolutely adore a sharp knife. I love a handle that you can hold, that's comfortable, that I can use all day long. I like playing with a knife. I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. I'm a knife guy. when I go to the gatherings, or if I do camping, if I do whatever, a lot of my time, once camp is set up, is just kind of sit and whittle. That's what I love doing. So I need a knife that's going to fit in my hand very, very well. Now it does come with a 90-degree spine, but it's not so sharp you can't hold it, right? It comes, the weight, what do we say, 12.9 ounces, so it's not going to fatigue you. The balance point, which I think I show on here crudely, is at the first pinhole. So it's got good balance. It does come with a lanyard hole. It is full tang. It is a slab of steel, but you don't really feel it. It's got a small sharpening choil, which that always helps too with the harmonics on some light batoning. So you're not going to do a lot of long-term damage. And I've kind of quit doing just the heavy duty batoning because I don't do it camping. A lot of folks don't do it. So I do a little light batoning just to show it, see how the edge holds up, etc. Here we're making a tent stake. I didn't realize it was that bent, but if you know me, you don't think anything about it. And here what I want to say is this. The control with this knife, very, very, very easy to control with different grips. Very easy. If you know, you know. My right pointer finger, I damn near cut to the bone not long ago, so it's still not working great. So a knife that I can control, there we're using a pinch grip. We've used a pinch grip, we've stabbed some. And let me say this, kind of the pommel of the knife is perfect for that stabbing motion for resting your thumb. Now, we did a green limb, and I wanted to do a dry limb. And I just, again, part of this is just playing, to be honest with you. We're going to do some light chopping there in the woods. We're right there at the beginning of the swamp, so I found a couple things laying around, and I thought, let's just do some stuff, right? Enjoyed it. Now, right here, let's just watch a little bit. When I talk about control, guys, when you watch like the stripes there, now this piece of wood's been laying out there. It's not rotted. It's pretty beat up, got some age to it, but it gives you what you need to know. Like if you were going to do a light shelter build, this knife would handle perfectly. Tent stakes, perfectly. And really game processing, that kind of thing. And some light chopping. That's probably a 2.5 inch diameter little limb right there. Still pretty solid. Let's see if we can hear some chops. And you see there, it's a great bite. It lands in the same spot every time. Overall, man, I adore the damn knife. It is a workhorse. I look forward maybe to doing some more Reiff. I'd like to get my hands on that F4 and maybe a couple of their other iterations. This is just a well-made knife. JR, man, thank you so much for letting me check it out. Throwing a few sparks there. Now at the end, guys, I cut paper. I start with cutting paper, I end with cutting paper. That is no indication of the true sharpness of the knife. It just shows you where we're at in the progression. We start with hair popping sharp. It's still sharp as shit, and it'll still cut you. A little bit of stropping, a little bit of cleaning. It's going back. Listen, the F6 Leuku. I love it, but more importantly, I'm Scab. You're not. I'm gone, son. Love y'all. Go Dogs.